Hello, Internet.
Hey, Internet.
Hello,
How
Internet.
are you today, Internet?
Is Jeff the stand-in for the is he supposed to answer?
We're good. We're good.
I think we just broke the record for awkward silence. Like, that was like 5 seconds in.
I'm trying to be cool, but that's never worked. So
Geoffrey Gauthier has joined us. Jeff, are you a knight? Because I tweeted you as Sir Geoffrey Gauthier.
Not yet. There's
Okay.
still time. Though.
You do have the Order of Canada, though, right? That's
I don't have that.
Oh
either.
wow! I thought you had been recognized.
Not quite yet. No.
This, of course, is Outrage Factory, the podcast where we look at the things that made people mad online this week and explain why they're done for caring. I'm Derek.
I'm Dale.
That's Dale. That's Dale.
That's
I'm
Jeff.
That's Dale.
Wherever he is, I don't know.
I'm over
And
here.
that's Jeff.
In our
Jeff
side
is-
panel, they're all like one on top of each other. And then in the like actual Facebook thing, they're all like threes.
Jeff,
one on
you're,
top of each other.
Long-time friend, just stacked up like flapjacks. Jeff's a longtime friend of the pod, longtime friend of Dale's, longtime friend of mine.
I've known Jeff for
God damn it, dude! It's like 23 or 24 years.
no, not that long. I think it's
Like
not
if
even
you
20
two
yet.
had a
19-ish.
child
Yes.
Yeah.
when you had met. That child would now be graduating
On its
from
own.
university,
Yeah,
probably.
Be honest.
If we had a child, it would be too old to go to Epstein's Island.
Yikes!
Oh
I'm drinking an organic energy drink because I'm trying to be healthy.
Was that coca leaves in that?
Better not be, but it's organic.
It's just chat. It's just like it's straight up. I'm
Jeff,
very,
I was
Sorry.
thinking about this. Sorry, I just
No.
stepped all over your joke.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry too.
We used the way I met Jeff was we used to work at Omega. This is where we'd sing the Sweet Omega chant if we had one, but it was a college newspaper at Thompson Rivers University.
True.
Were you there
Sorry.
when it switched over, Jeff, or did you leave when it was still college? University College.
I was
Caribbean?
University College of the Caribbean when I left,
Yeah.
and it was like TRU the year after.
Okay.
It was in the transition
Yeah.
phase.
You know how we used to work at the paper, and one of our favorite thing was to come up with super bad pun headlines.
Yep, every time
I
as much as
I-
possible.
I got the best one for one of the things we're going to talk about. Ready?
Ready.
China goes Greek.
I've been so excited to talk about this. I didn't know Derek was coming. This is even better. I've been waiting to talk about buttholes with Dale for like ever.
Let's just open it with the buttholes.
Let's open with
buttholes. So
Are we gonna go
China
down a dark hole?
I didn't even look at the agenda. What are we talking about?
buttholes, Derek.
Perfect. Everyone's favorite
Catch up.
topic.
So in China, they have mandatory COVID testing, and the scientists came up with this great idea that they would do anal swabs because it's more precise than the nasal cavity swabs, and people are losing their shit, pun intended.
Yes, it's much more precise. Just an easier access point.
I guess it's like when you're giving a thermometer to like a child or something where they have the anal thermometer. Is that
Well,
still a thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Is that one of the horrors we left in the past?
No, you can still get rectal thermometers for kids or adults if that's your thing.
Is it optional? Is it like,
It's
I'd like
not.
to request the anal thermometer.
I think we have evolved to the point where you can request your favorite temperature taking method.
Well,
Hey, you guys are both dads.
yeah.
Could
No.
you give
I,
an anal thermometer without giggling like a little girl?
Oh my God. My guy's 11, so it's a little bit more awkward at this point. It's like,
Yeah, that's-
Hey, buddy, come up here for a second.
That's almost as awkward as that awkward pause at the beginning of this podcast.
Almost, yeah.
Giving a rectal thermometer to your 11-year-olds.
So look, man, I got to take your temperature, but here's the deal. We're
But
gonna
here's
get
the
pants
deal.
down. So
I was on a podcast and the
Yeah.
co-host decided that this is
Basically-
how we were going to do it.
Yeah.
basically, they said it's more accurate, and you're gonna get a better temperature reading from this.
They basically chided me into doing this. So
Yeah,
it's their
yeah.
fault, son.
Have you seen how they do the COVID test with the nasal swab? It goes like it's pretty
I've
far
got
up.
I've had one too. Yeah.
Oh, you have? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Have you
I'm-
also?
I haven't been tested. I haven't left my house. So,
Have you ever had a neti pot?
Yes. Yeah. Lots of times.
It's like twice as bad as a neti pot.
Yeah. I don't
Have you
always
ever
like them.
emptied a
Not that
neti
bad.
pot your butthole.
Not,
Because it would be like that, I gotta assume, for the rectal
like,
test.
so when you do the neti pot, it goes in one hole and comes out of the other. If you do it in your butthole, where's it go?
That's
It
a
just
great
stays
question.
in there.
Let me Google anatomy real quick here.
I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure
it
just
jackass. So
I'm pretty sure it just builds up pressure and then comes out the same hole.
So have you guys ever had a colonoscopy?
No.
So I actually had one when I was like 25 or something like that, and it's awful. I just like but it's the most hilarious thing, but it's also awful.
So how awkward was the erection?
No, I remember the nurse though. I don't remember much, but I'm trying to black it out. But I remember the nurse, like I was laying on my side and she's greasing me up, and she's like, try to relax. I'm like, do you want to switch places? Like,
relax.
I wasn't like, what do you mean relax? I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm clenched. I'm young. I'm nervous. This is the third or fourth time this has ever happened to me, and but it's 30 centimeters long. The camera on a stick. It's 30 centimeters up into your colon and stuff, right?
It's like this long.
Yeah, school ruler, right?
Yeah, it's a ruler.
School ruler. It's like 30 centimeters long. So I'm like, if I could do that, I could do like the anal swab for the.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could.
For the COVID. It's got to be like what? Like how far in are they going with the swab?
I don't know.
Well, you got to think, because all the ones here are like drive-through, right? So you're gonna like just pull up with your ass out the window. It's like when we used to do drive-by moonings on the theater back in the day.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Labor intensive at that point.
Their ass out of the window. You just drive up to the testing and just start honking.
Yeah. It's like at a Tim Hortons, they're just like a window and you just drive through.
Yeah.
Boom. You're good to go. Have a good day, Mr. Gauthier. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go now. Please put your butt back in your pants.
So are they looking at bringing these things over here? Like, is this a widespread practice? We didn't actually read the article. We were just like, read the buttholes, article. Let's go.
I read the article and there's like no information. They're just saying theoretically it's more precise, and they don't, and like people in China heard about it and they're like, we're not fucking doing that, because they would be forced to do it, like, because they make all their citizens do it. So they're like, well, it is more precise, but if we do it, we'll probably have to deal with like a peasant uprising. So
well, okay, so you just said peasant uprising, right? And I'm taking like the population of China is enormous, right?
A lot of people.
And if, like, you got to swab a bunch of Derek, you've been there, you know, right? Like if you got to swab, like think about the healthcare professionals in China, and like you have to swab buttholes all day long. And I'm thinking about what I know vaguely. This story came up the other day when there was someone who peed in the plant pot at Richmond Center Mall. Somebody was bringing this up in like a list of things that happened over like a long time ago, whatever. It was like at New Year's, and I was like, if there's people that like don't understand basic cleanliness in all cultures, right? Like, can you imagine like I'm like a nurse or an administrator of the swab, and I have to swab all these buttholes all day. Like that can't be a pleasant scenario. Like a nose is kind of weird and intimate and gross. Like what's the next level? At least you're not looking at them when it's happening.
I even think like every time I go to the doctor, I'm like, this would be the most disgusting job, just like rooting around in people's mouths. And now you think about like, what is the butthole if not the mouth? That
it's the back mouth.
It's the back mouth, but it's like after the mouth takes everything in, the back mouth puts everything, so it's just as dirty.
Dude, so think about when you're brushing your teeth. You can like look at it and like right? Okay. Think about when you're wiping your ass. You can't see it. You can't see what's going on back there.
Dale,
and the worst part is,
I thought Dale was going to be like, I got a mirror mounted on my toilet, so I can see it.
Not anymore. Like the worst part is you can still smell farts through the COVID mask. So I can't even imagine how like if you get like one stanky butthole, that's ruining your whole.
It's ruining your day. But you get like, say you do 20 COVID tests in a day. Like that's a whole lot of buttholes that you got to probe with.
Like even clean buttholes, fresh out of the shower. I still don't want to swab 20 of them.
If they were
one or two,
because you're still going inside, so you can clean the outside as much as you want, right? Like unless you're like dieting or drinking barium every day. It's not really like a super. I had to do that. That's awful, by the way. Just
drink barium every day.
You have to not every day, just for that
before your
the colonoscopy.
Before your colonoscopy,
you gotta get cleaned right out, right? So like you have to drink this barium drink, and you're like, oh, it's not so bad. And then 2 hours later, you're like, I cannot stop shitting. I will just live on the toilet forever because it just goes right through and it cleans everything. You want to be flushed out, right? Putting a camera in there so they want to like look around. So should I tell this story? This is really gross. I don't know.
Yeah. We've already been talking about buttholes for 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
You have a rapt audience right now.
So this was in Kamloops, right? So I'm like, I don't know, 25 years old or something. So I had some internal bleeding. Let's just call it that for the time being. And I don't know why. I could have got hit. I could have got knocked out or punched or like something could have happened to me internally where I was
in hockey, right? Like you don't just get knocked out in the street.
Exactly.
Kamloops is a pretty rough and tumble town.
Yeah, so. I was down at the Cami Inn and I lipped off and I got my ass beat. So, shout out to my Kamloops people. I don't know if the Cami Inn is still there, but oh God, that's an experience and a half. So I go to the hospital and I like go through that whole process and the nurse is like putting me on the thing and she's like, they feed it up into your butt and then and you're just like, okay, that's a weird sensation. Oh yeah, the whole thing to start with, you drink the barium drink the night before, you're not allowed to eat, you can't like do anything, and then you just uncontrollably shit for like an hour and a half, and then you have to administer, once you're done the barium shits, once they finally run their course, you have to do an enema. So like I'm on my back in the bathtub and I'm like, I live by myself and I'm just like putting this thing into my butthole. It's like the weirdest thing, and then you gotta squeeze it and like you're basically squeezing saline water into your behind and through this thin straw, and then it all comes out, and then you gotta like wash the shower. It's fucking awful, right? So then you're hungry, you're not allowed to eat any food, and you like, and my appointment was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. You can't eat anything because they need you completely empty so they can see inside of you, right? So I get there, I'm laying on the bench or the bed, whatever, and the nurse is like, "Hey, the doctor be in a second." He comes in, and there's a fucking TV up in the corner of the room. And I'm like, that's weird. The nurse turns the TV on. The doctor comes in. He's like, oh, ready to go. He starts feeding the tube into my butt. And I'm just like, oh, it's like, it's kind of like, it's cold and I'm not really ready for it. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And then I finally relaxed. I'm like, okay, I can handle this. And I can feel it like moving around. And then you hear this like, and you get this cramping in your guts and they're filling you full of air. They're expanding your colon cavity so they can like look around with the camera, and it's like a little camera on the end of a scope.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like sitting there, and then I realized that the TV is the inside of my asshole, and it's the camera looking around, and the doctor's like looking at the TV while he's driving this thing in my ass, and it's looking around. I'm like, this is fucking weird. I'm like watching the inside of my butthole on television.
Worst video game ever.
Oh my God. The nurse is holding me down, right? And the whole process took like a minute and a half, like maybe tops. He's like, you can see the camera, it's like he's looking around. I'm like, oh, that's like the inside of me. And he's like, yeah, looks good. And then he just fucking reefs it out of me. Whoa, like it just comes out. It's like, surprise, I'm pulling. I mean,
he knew you were already cleaned out at that point, so like there's not gonna be any accidents.
Yeah, there's no flashback or whatever.
Nothing happened. He's like, okay, you're free to go. And I'm like, okay, right, I guess I just go. And so like I just put my clothes on. I wasn't even thinking about it. My ass is all still full of lube, right? So I'm like walking around. I'm like, oh, fuck. It's all like in my underwear and stuff. And I'm all like greasy. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. So I go to the washroom and I like try to clean up as best I can, put my clothes back on. And Dale, have you ever been to the emergency room in Kamloops?
Yeah.
Like the ER? Okay. So you know how there's like
I've never been to the emergency room.
So you know how there's that waiting room, right? So you go into the ER and then I have to walk out through the waiting room to get to the parking lot to get to my car. And so what they don't tell you is that you're completely full of fucking air and nothing else. So I'm starving. I'm like tired. I've just been violated, medically violated. So I guess it's fair. And I start walking and I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like taking steps. And as I'm stepping, I'm like in the waiting room. There's people like all around the emergency waiting room. And I'm just like, fuck it. I start running. I'm just like, through the room. And I was so relieved to get out of there. And I'm like walking through the parking lot. There's nobody around. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I'm just walking. And I go there's like this little booth where you like pay for your parking. Yeah. Right? Like it's like a little glass booth and there's 2 of those parking meter things in there. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And I look around, there's nobody around. I'm like, oh, it's good. And I put my credit card in the thing, pay for my parking, and I just all this air just comes out of me. It's just like this massive fart. And I turn around, there's like this gorgeous woman just right beside me. And I'm just like,
of course.
Yeah, fucking classic, right? I'm like, so I'm just like, I run away like a child. I get up to my car, and then when I sit in the car, I should have had somebody drive me there. It's just fucking horrifying. And I sit in my car, and it's just like,
like you became the whoopee cushion, and you were just deflating.
All the air, and there's no stink though, right? Because like I'm completely cleaned out, so it's just
right, Jeff. Nice cover up there. It's okay, guys. It
actually smelled good.
It actually sounds amazing. It smelled like barium. It's delightful. But yeah, it was awful. So like, so after having gone through all of that, I think I could probably safely do an anal swab for COVID if necessary.
Yeah, I would say so.
I like how the moral of the story took like that long.
Yeah, I could take it.
Anyway, yeah, things happen. Yeah.
We do have we have listener Aaron in the comments saying that he recently had a colonoscopy, an endoscopy, and a COVID test all in the same like week period. So
in the butthole, or Aaron was the
no, he got the regular, the nose,
oh,
but all his holes were plugged.
Aaron, I feel your pain. Feel your pain, so you know what it's like. It's a long time ago, and I'll never forget it. It's like one of those things you just won't forget. It's like it was so ridiculous.
Bet that girl beside you will never forget it either.
Oh my god! I should have just like asked her to marry me or something. Like, hey, so you would go out.
You're like, this is about as bad as it gets.
You'll never see any worse than this. So
there's a misconnection. You were farting like a sailor. At the...
I never read the paper. I worked for the paper. Why would I read it? Yeah, totally.
Oh man.
Hey, speaking of getting reamed in the butt.
Hey, I was just gonna say, how do we segue from that? But Derek comes through in a
big way. Wall Street took a drubbing over the past couple weeks.
Guys, I found something to explain what happened. Sorry.
Go for it.
Somebody posted Scott Graham posted on Twitter, someone had posted a picture in Reddit that explains what happened, because I didn't know what happened at all because I don't know much about stocks. I feel like this whole thing is teaching people about stocks though.
So I know a little bit about stocks, and I like legit checked my investments to see if I had any GameStop
just in case you parked some money there a while ago.
Yeah, exactly. Just in case, right? Like, so, and I know that I wouldn't like. I don't buy like individual stocks. I have like groupings of stocks here and there.
Yeah.
And so like because I'm a knight, so I have stocks. But
I have stocks.
But I checked my like RSPs and stuff. I checked all my investments just to see if I had any in there just for fun today. And I'm like, no, I totally don't. And it makes sense because the groupings that I have are like some of them are a little more safe, some of them are risky, but they wouldn't buy something that's hedged. Right. So like that's the whole thing. So like this whole concept of hedging is it's a total fuck show anyway. So like
it's fucking crazy the way the like Dale, do you want to? You look really eager to jump in with your explanation. Before
I haven't tried to read on the podcast in a minute, so just stick with me.
Word?
Okay, so it's quite long. It's that long of all
That's
words.
What she said.
All right.
So
nice.
This is explaining what happened with the GameSpot stocks. So,
you're off to a great start, buddy.
The first sentence, the first half paragraph was introductory to be like, I know some of you don't understand this, and I didn't want to belittle our audience, so I'm just pretending that half of us know what's going on. And for those who maybe need a refresher, I'm not going to say people don't know what's going on. Okay. First, you need to understand what a short is in trading. A short is when you borrow a stock from a broker and sell it immediately at its current price. Then you hope the stock's price falls such that you can buy the stock back at a lower price and return the shares you borrowed to your broker, but keeping the difference. Example, let's say I want to short stock XYZ, which is current price of $10. I borrow one share and sell it immediately at $10. I have $10 now, but I owe my broker the one share I borrowed. Then let's say the price of XYZ drops to $7. I now decide to cover buy it back, my short position and buy one share at $7 and return the one borrowed share to my broker. I made $10 when I sold and only had to pay $7 to buy it back lower. So my profit is 3, the difference. But now let's say that instead of XYZ price dropping to $7, it goes up to 15. I still need to return the one borrowed share to my broker, except now it's going to cost me a lot more to buy it back. If I buy it back at $15 so I can return the borrowed shares, my losses will be the $5 difference between selling at $10 and rebuying at $15. Since the price can rise indefinitely, my potential losses as a short seller are unlimited. At some point, I have to buy it back to return the shares I borrowed. The more the price rises, the bigger my losses. Now, for GameStop, a few weeks ago, a Redditor on our Wall Street Bets, that's the subreddit that this all started in, noticed that a hedge fund had taken a massive amount of short trades against GameStop.
Wait, I want to add, it wasn't just a massive amount. They shorted 140% of the stock.
Yeah.
So they took all the stock available and then some and shorted it. And I have no fucking idea.
So that's what a hedge fund is. That's what a hedge fund does, right? So their whole game is hedging their bet that stock is not going to make money so that they can get their money back, right? So that's the whole hedge fund crowd. That's what they do on a regular basis. Yeah. So this is Reddit just exasperating that process in their favor. Yeah. Which is fucking rad.
I love it.
So cool.
So the subreddit, they convinced everyone on the thread to join forces and buy as much GameStop stock as possible. This made the price rise and the hedge fund's short position start to lose billions. Their losses even surpassed the $13.1 billion that the hedge fund was worth. Yeah. Eventually, the hedge fund had to close their short position and buy all the GameStop stock back at much, much higher prices, sending the price even higher still. This is called a short squeeze. Now the hedge fund is declaring bankruptcy, and the Reddit thread is combined going through other hedge funds and massive short exposure, so they could short squeeze all of them into bankruptcy as well.
Yeah. The last reported thing they were looking at was AMC, the television company.
AMC. So I saw they were talking,
and they own theaters.
They were talking about BlackBerry as well.
Yes, BlackBerry
was something that kept coming up. So I'm like, please fucking let that happen. BlackBerry, AMC. There's been a few other ones that they've been throwing around, but like, I have to wonder. So hedge funds took a absolute fucking shit kicking, and now all these Wall Street.
I know where you're going with this. This is
whatever.
Awesome.
Our
regulators
are
they're calling for regulation.
They're calling for these fucks who have like coasted
they've been doing this. They've been doing this exact thing for years,
forever,
like since the 80s at the very least.
Regulation. They want the retail investors, which are like. They're schlubs. They're like guys like fucking me and you who are.
I have a buddy who's a day trader. That's his whole job, right? All he does is trade stocks on a daily basis.
People who are like, oh, I have a couple $1,000. You know, I've heard some good news about this investment. I'm gonna throw some money in there and just like see what happens. It's like an investment, right? So they're calling for regulation of like normal fucking people when they've just been like skirting laws and like operating like the fucking wild west for decades. It's insane to me that they're the ones calling for regulation on normal people.
Yeah. They're the same ones that were getting bailouts when that whole bailout thing was happening too, right? So it's like fuck, at some point you got to just not feel bad for these people and be like, hey, how can we encourage Reddit to do more of this?
And so, like, another thing
you have to
email me when you're gonna do it. So
give me a heads up so I can buy some of the stock.
Yeah. I don't know how to use Reddit.
Robinhood, which is one of those apps that you can buy stocks and stuff through, actually made it so you can't buy GameStop, and a bunch of the other trading platforms made it so you couldn't buy either. And then what the same thing did you guys hear about what they did with the Dogecoin?
I don't even know what that is.
It's like it's a joke.
Yeah, like Doge, like the dog, right? Like
it's like a joke cryptocurrency, but it was created like exclusively as a joke. Like it's not ever intended to have any value.
Right.
And they all bought it. So it's like with cryptocurrency, it's like stocks. The more people who buy it, the more it like goes up. I don't know. I don't really know the intricacies.
The value is in the value is in the buying.
How it works. Yeah. If something notices that a bunch of people are buying something, it automatically assumes it's more value. Yeah, so it will gain in value. And if people start fucking selling, the opposite will happen.
Yeah, so they were doing this with Dogecoin, so everybody was buying it, and then like people made a whole bunch of money off their old stock from like 2014 and stuff, or not stock, cryptocurrency.
Yeah, the cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Well, you have to wonder now if this is going to be a thing. Like if Reddit can mobilize, and now it was on this subreddit called Wall Street Bets, and all the media attention they got from this. I think they had like 300,000 people when it first started. Now it's up to like 3 or 4 million. So you have to assume a subreddit with the power of 4 million people behind it to say, we're going to pick this stock, go after it. Like it's a little worrisome because you're like, okay, at that point it is like market manipulation. Like they name a stock. The guy who headed up this whole thing, his username is Deep Fucking Value. I think he's a day trader. And what happened? He had a he had a long position in GameStop when the price was, I think the strike price was like $12 or something a share. And he bought a bunch of long positions and which is the opposite of a short, obviously. You buy it based on the assumption that the stock is going to go up, and then you can flip it and sell it. He ended up making, I think he posted his, he hasn't sold yet, but he's in the area of like $18 million that he's made on this based off of his 12,000 long positions. Yeah, which is like fucking crazy to me. But like,
that's an insane return. Yeah.
And now you have to wonder, like, okay, is this thing going to become like a hedge fund in its own right, where they're going to be like picking stocks and advising people on how to invest and making like mass because it has basically democratized. It's gotten all these people together. They can pick stocks. They can mobilize people to buy or sell. So I will be really interested to see what happens after. I mean, regulators, like the money is gonna talk, right? Like some shithead hedge fund investor is probably going to get his way. But it was really interesting to see all these politicians on both sides of the aisle. Like you had Ted Cruz and AOC and fucking everybody else saying like, fuck you, let the people do their thing. Although we'll see if that was just a PR
like
stunt.
As soon as you try to step in with this, because the whole shorting thing, wasn't that what crashed the economy in 2008?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, so you got to let them through. Otherwise, if you stop it here, then it's just going to devalidate the whole past of the stock market, and then nobody will trust the stock market pretty much.
I think there has to be some regulation. You shouldn't be able to short more stock than is available.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that I think that's
maybe we put a guardrail in there to make sure that doesn't happen again.
As a closet anarchist, I love this shit because the concept that like a group of motivated people can fuck the system, that makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. I'm sure I'm not involved in it, but as like a casual observer, I'm like the fact that people put their efforts into something that completely changes the way the world works eventually. It's like the key concept of like this is how we should be doing things. I agree, safeguards should be put into place where they're like they can't go that far. But that whole concept of over-shorting a stock, that's the way it's been done by the professional investors forever, right? So like on one hand, we should have guardrails. On the other hand, like go people, fuck the system, change it, like make it better for everybody.
It was crazy. Like reading some of the threads on the subreddit, there were all kinds of fucking stories from people who were like, this is going to change my life. Like I lost my job due to COVID this year. We were basically homeless, and now I'm going to be like a millionaire. Or people who could pay off their student loans in full, or people who could buy first-time homes and start a life. And it's fucking part of it. You look at it and you're like, we've let the system get to this point where like people have to like kick the shit out of a hedge fund in order to be able to like to get
to be normal, not even to get ahead, but like to even out,
just like get a fucking foothold in life. So I think that's a bigger problem, but like, I'm with you, man. Like fuck the hedge funds, fuck the Wall Street establishment. And this was, I think, one of the like most massive redistributions of wealth in like human history. So
it's incredible. This
is really good because it's like it's even if you just take stocks out of it and like this is good. Like Derek was saying, some guy posted he put in 6,000 and made 130,000. So now he like bought a house. But it's like it's for me the whole thing about this is the positivity it shows. Like this is going to be like super like woo woo, but it's like how positive you could be as a
Dale's
group.
always a woo woo guy.
I like that's where the real power of the population is, and it's like through the manipulation of like media and advertisement and stealing data, and everybody feels like they have less and less power. But this is just like a shining example how if we act together, that's basically the best thing you can do. And it's like the weird thing is I've been listening to a lot of conspiracy theories lately.
What?
And it all breaks
lately? Lately?
What is this lately
basically
bullshit?
all the conspiracy theories break down to is they're just trying to divide the masses. Like if you look at like the bipartisanship of politics and like how Russia's trying to interact with the populace and get people to fight with each other. As soon as you like stop separating into smaller groups and join forces, then it's like the populace is basically can just say and like what they want and they can make change super fast.
I was just thinking, Dale, like throw out a conspiracy theory just to make you think. COVID is separating the populace and splitting them off into single lonely pieces. Maybe that's I'd like, maybe does it exist? I don't seen it. I've literally not met anybody who actually, I don't know anyone in real
It's
life
like when
who's got it, Dale. I don't know anyone.
You haven't
when the
left your house.
lions isolate the gazelle from the
Yeah.
one lonely gazelle runs off and the
Yeah.
lions can fucking that's COVID.
Yeah, that's COVID.
No, I've met, I think my cousin got COVID and someone I work with got COVID. The real thing about COVID, like if you want to get into COVID conspiracy,
I was just fucking with you.
I believe it's real. I just think that they thought it was going to be way worse than it is.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people who get it and they're just like, it just felt like I had a cold, and they get over it. But there's like all these people who get it and they think they're going to be fine, and then they just end up getting fucking stuck in the ICU and stuff. So it's like, and then with these new strains that affect people differently, I think the biggest fear is you don't really know what's going to happen and nobody fully understands it, even after over a year of this.
Yeah, kind of like stock trading and shorting.
Exactly like that. Like I don't fucking
Hey,
Dale just read his whole fucking spiel to us. I'm not any closer to understanding anything.
I'm getting in on it. I got $100 in Wealth Simple. I'm gonna stock it up.
Nice.
I was on the fence all last fucking week when the stock price was at like 147. I was like, should I buy it? And I was like, no, it's not gonna go higher than that. It's at like 350 right now.
Yeah, totally. I actually bought Apple stocks in like 1996.
Oh yeah.
And then I held on to them for like a few months. I was like, this is bullshit. I need my money, and I had to like pay for some college courses or something. So I took it back out, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I kept it in there.
Yeah, but the problem with stocks is you can only make money off the stock market if you have a whole bunch of money just extra. Like if you have like $100,000 you don't need and you can just leave in there, then you'll make so much money.
Nobody has that. So like I've been investing like a little bit of money since I was 18. So now I have a bunch of money, and the more money that you accumulate, not a bunch, I'm not like rich or anything, but
how much money, Jeff?
I'm not going to say specific, but
that's the actual measurement. A bunch of money.
A bunch of money.
Is that more than a lot?
Let's just say after the podcast, I'm going to go Scrooge McDuck in my bathtub.
In the same bathtub you gave yourself an enema.
An enema, yeah, it's the same one.
God. I hope you changed the curtain.
I actually can't find the enema. It's buried in the coin somewhere, so it's back there, the empty one. But like now that I'm older, like I'm 44, I've been investing since I was 18. So that chunk of money, it was like so slow to watch it grow. It's so slow. But now that I'm older, it's building quicker.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh fuck, that's what it is. That's why I've been painfully putting part of my income away for this long. Like even when I was fucking destitute, I was still putting away $25 a month into my things. Like there was a very brief period where I was on EI and I was still investing $25 from a month from that EI money into my investments. And so like long term, I set myself up for it, and it was fucking killing me because I really wanted like some food, but it was like, if I keep this up, I'll be able to retire and I'm not going to feel shitty when I'm older, right? I'll be able to like figure it out. And now that I've said that, somebody on your podcast is going to figure out how to hack my fucking accounts and take all my cash. And I'll be like, I'm broke.
I like that you think that many people and people that smart watch this podcast.
It's like, it only takes one person who's just smarter than us to figure it out.
That's true.
You recently took on Wall Street and won. Your next challenge is hacking into Geoff Gauthier's retirement fund.
Hacking into my meager retirement savings.
Good for you, man. But I think that's worth applauding. Is that like you as an 18-year-old had the foresight? Because
no, I didn't have the foresight. I had a girlfriend's dad who was an investment advisor who told me I better fucking do it or I can't date his daughter.
I mean, it worked. So whatever got it done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could have used a father-in-law like that at that time too, because I didn't put any money away.
Also, I read The Wealthy Barber when I was 19, I guess. Like after I started investing, I read The Wealthy Barber. I don't know if you've heard that book. But like it's fucked. You can't. It doesn't apply to today's standards. When I read it, it's like you take 33%. You like don't go any more than 33% of your income toward your living expenses. I'm like, have you lived in Vancouver before?
Ever set foot in Vancouver?
It's not even possible, right? So
I mean, unless you make a whole bunch of money.
But that's the thing, though. The theory of the book is that it's scalable, right? Like it doesn't matter how much you make. You're supposed to put 33% into your maximum 33% living. So find a living situation that allows you to have that 33%. Then you pay yourself first. So every time you get paid, you put a little bit of that money towards your future. And it's not a savings account, but you invest that money. So you keep a little bit of savings. You pay yourself, get your savings, keep your living expenses low. It's basically like and so like I've had that in my brain since I was a young kid. And it's not like I grew up fucking poor, man. Like not poor, but like poor. Like low middle, very low middle, like could have been poor at any moment kind of thing, right? Like, So
I hear that.
It was important for me to like be able to set some money aside. So as a closet anarchist and as a person who had the foresight to save some money, and as a person who was like, go Reddit, fucking take all that money, I'm also like, fuck. Also, I'm trying to like not be poor when I'm old and like be able to retire. So I think being alive is a shit ton of mixed emotions just in general. And it's like one of those things where like I have these thoughts where I'm like, fuck the system. Also, the system is keeping me healthy.
Not my system, everyone else's system.
But leave my system be. If you don't
fuck
mind.
the system to a very specific point
fuck
where it
that
stops.
System. That system over there. Fuck that system right in its COVID tested butthole. So anyway,
Keep the social structure, but everything else.
No, but that's great because like everyone.
You know what I mean, though?
Everyone who grew up in our generation, like we don't fucking understand it. I grew up, both of my parents are fucking financial advisors. Like I grew up in a house with two financial advisor parents, and I didn't start investing until my early 30s. And I look back now and I'm like, if I had taken like a fraction of my alcohol or cocaine or just like buying dumb fucking shit budget in my 20s, I'd be light years ahead of where I am right now.
Yeah.
So
but
I just started a couple years ago through work. They did like the RSP matching. That's the only investing I've done.
That's awesome though. Do take advantage of that.
I do. I have like a bunch there. But anyway, so it's like what I'm trying to say is like we've all three of us have started at different points, and all three of us are better now that we started. So if you're listening to this and be like, oh fuck, I didn't start investing, I'm way behind, just start now.
Start now.
Yeah. You can go on fucking Wealthsimple has actually I found it to be like super easy. There's a lot of other like robo traders out there. Your bank can maybe hook you up too. Wealthsimple isn't too expensive if you're not making or investing a lot of money, which I am not.
It says it's free to trade. Like there's no what's that word?
Yeah, you can do you can do trades, or you can set up a TFSA, you can set up RSP, you can just buy ETFs.
The TFSA is titties though, man. That is awesome. Oh, it's tax-free savings account. You can put in like $5,000 a year or something as a maximum contribution. You put in as little. You can put as little as 110 or something, and then as maximum of 5,000. You put it in there, and at tax time, you're not taxed on that income.
You just write it in there. Yeah,
so,
it gives you a deduction on your taxes.
So every year you can contribute that maximum amount if you want, up to that maximum amount. So you can it started, I don't know, 2017 or something like that. It hasn't been going that long. So you can fire some money in there, and it's like that's like hiding cash. So if you have that money that's available to put it in there, it's not taxed, and you get like the rebate at tax time. So
cool. So does it stack? Like if I put in
it stacks. Yeah. So it's 5, 10,
last
15,
year,
20, 25, 30, 35. You can stack it.
So
it doesn't really gain a shit ton of interest, but it doesn't get taxed as
so I wouldn't have to pay taxes on 10 grand.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's
all right. I'm gonna go do this. I don't know about $5,000, but I'm gonna do this.
If you got a couple extra bucks, or like save yourself a couple extra bucks, or like stop drinking for a week, or you guys don't drink anyway, it doesn't matter, but like, or don't like, I don't know. I don't even know what people buy anymore. Like,
well, my thing is like fucking like DoorDash right now is like, I
Oh,
look at my
yeah.
DoorDash budget and I'm like, fuck, I'm spending like thousands of dollars a month on DoorDash, which is just like stupid.
I put on the COVID-19 the last little while.
I was gonna say, like, I
was through your butthole.
Yeah, I was saving a lot of money not doing anything with COVID, and then I bought a computer. But now I have a computer instead of doing whatever I did pre-COVID.
Whatever I did, which was also nothing.
I'd be like traveling. Like I would go to Alberta every like twice.
Yeah, totally. Like that whole travel thing is like, it's fucked now, right? Like we set money aside to travel. We had tickets to go to Scotland back in October. And
Scotland.
Sorry, and we can't go, and we had money set aside for that, so we bought a king size bed with our travel money. Like, we're gonna stay here. Let's buy a big fucking bed. It's
nice staycation material.
It's also it's not here yet still, and it's shipping in 2 parts. We'll get the mattress first, and then the actual bed at near the end of February. So,
at least they did it in that order and not the other way. You can sleep on the mattress.
Well, okay, but we did that with my son because we were going to give him our queen size bed. So he's got a queen size frame with his like little guy bed on it. So I'm like, oh, you poor bastard. You can have our queen bed when we get ours.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
I was going to say you could have college staycation since you only have the mattress on the floor.
Yeah, I should do my master's degree instead of buying beds. I should do something fucking useful with it, right?
Master's?
Yeah. What fucking useful?
But
you're this guy.
What do you need to be a master for?
I work in education now, so I should probably be smarter.
Oh yeah, you probably get a discount.
I totally do. Yeah, so like, nice. I'm holding like 2 bachelors and a dip tech. It's not
wait, do they give you an employee discount on like
no
education?
So it depends on your employer though too, right? So your employer can kick you some of the money. So I won't be able to do my master's where I work. I'll have to go elsewhere to do it. But our employer will match some of the money toward furthering your education. So
not bad.
Yeah, so
I'm
44. I'm a little scared to go back to university after not having been there since 2001, 2002-ish kind of thing. So it's been 20 fucking years since I've been taking a college class. Actually, that's not true because I did the dip tech in like 2007.
Yeah, I went to like welder college like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and nobody cares. Like I thought, especially with like 18-year-old trade students, I was like, oh, I'm never going to hear the end of it. They're just going to like dunk on me all day. But they kind of do. But it's like
they kind of call you an old fuck and make you cry at the end of every day.
It's not to the extent I thought it was, and it was all like in good jest. But what I'm trying to say is, if you feel like it's going to be awkward because you're old, it's only going to be slightly awkward.
Well, yeah. Like, so do you remember going to university and like you always see that one dude in the back of the class who's like at least 65 and he's auditing the class, or she or whatever, like just gray hair sitting in the back.
Pretend you're that guy.
Oh, man. No, I think it's different though. Like for the master's program where you're like career track master's program, it's a little different. There's gonna be more people like me in there that are like just doing it for the job.
Do you get a blazer with like leather elbow pads when you finish?
Oh fuck, that'd be so rad. I've always wanted one of those, but I can't pull it off. I'm like,
yeah, you can pull anything off. You just have to pretend you don't care about yourself.
They can see the dirtbag right through the fancy shirt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you
wear. It doesn't matter. Look at me, Dale. You know me. This shit shines through, baby.
Yeah, just put like cloth pads on your leather motorcycle jacket.
Yeah, totally. On the arm. That'd be perfect. I could totally do that. Hi, can I have 2 swatches of tweed that are about this big?
Hound's tooth. Yeah, just have like these
hound's tooth.
That was good.
How? All right. Hey, speaking of, I don't know, rich assholes, idiots.
So we've talked about assholes and rich.
I'll fucking know. Yeah, now we're combining it. Rich assholes flew to the Yukon. So I don't know if
that was awesome
for our international listeners. British Columbia is a province. It's like a state but Canadian. Yukon is a territory, which is also like a state but Canadian, but north of the provinces. They had a remote Indigenous community, I want to say, who was in line to get. They got like a shipment of COVID vaccinations there because they're serving remote communities first. And some dickhead.
First Nations people are high risk because they have a high risk for diabetes. So that's why First Nations people get, like, the elders of this First Nations community were kind of bumped up so they would get, like, I don't know if it matters, but they are getting Moderna because they're like, it's like, it's out in the middle of nowhere, so they can't send Pfizer because they can't keep it at like minus 80 degrees. So they send Moderna. So I don't know if, like, I'm only bringing that up because this couple who's from Vancouver went to the Yukon and got 1 dose of the Moderna vaccine, but they can't go back to get their second dose.
Well, not after they got busted, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a gaming company CEO and his 25-year-old.
No, I think she's in her 30s.
Oh, is she? She looked much younger than
she's
he
in
did.
her 30s.
Okay.
She's 23 years younger than him. She's 32. He's 55.
Okay.
And I just want to say, before we dunk on these people too much, I just want to take the
You're going to be devil's advocate?
Well, I'm going to be like angel's advocate because I can see why they did that. Like I don't agree with them doing it, but I can understand why, if you had the means to do something like that, you would, because like everybody's so freaked out about COVID that they're like, oh my God, we got to get this like vaccine. We got to do this. And
so we also got
COVID.
We got some insider. Can we share the insider
don't
info?
say who told us. Just
no, I won't say who told us. We got some insider info. It's someone who knows the girl, and she had lost her brother to COVID last year.
So would make me urgency behind it.
So like, I could see why there would be some extra panic, and maybe the guy was being I know if my wife was like, I need this fucking COVID vaccine because I'm shitting my pants, please like help me get it and help me feel more at ease, I'd be like, fuck yeah, babe, let's hop in the old charter jet, we're gonna fly to an Indigenous community. But at the same time, like, no, it was a boneheaded move.
Yeah. One thing I want to know is, like, my whole contention with this whole thing is like, so he has money. Yeah, they fly up to the Yukon on a chartered plane, but it's like, how did they know that they could just show up at this place and say they were, because the way it worked was they said they were working at a nearby hotel. And so that's why they didn't have to have proof of address to be there. They just had to say because they're letting people who worked at the hotel get the vaccine and stuff. So
they worked out this wasn't just them going up and being like, yo, please give us the vaccine. It was them like premeditating this whole scam.
But I think, conspiracy minded Dale, I feel like there is a facilitator in the middle of all this. Like, because I don't
someone
think
who's like allowing them in.
Even somebody who's like, hey, you can come here and do this. And it's like, if someone said to them, like, if you pay this money, you could do this by going to, because it's like, there's only 100 elders at this place. So it's so small and tiny. There's no way they just Googled it and been like, oh, here's a small community, let's go there. So I think
someone
was like, hey, if you come up here, wink, wink. And if that's what happened, how many other people have been, like, not specifically at this one, but is there like one facilitator who's like aligning it up so a whole bunch of well-off people can do? Because like, if these people got caught, you got to think there's got to be people who didn't get caught. Like, is this a bigger problem? Are we just scratching the surface?
That dude is high profile though too, because wasn't he part of the gaming thing that's under investigation right now, like the hearings and everything?
The what?
I read that.
Canadian Gaming.
Yeah, the Great Canadian Gaming Casino. Yeah. That's the money laundering thing. He was part of that.
Yeah,
he's part of that whole money laundering inquiry.
Maybe that was part of it. Maybe he's like, well, if I lose my job, is that such a fucking?
He's talking in the world. This shit show. Now he doesn't have to testify, and now he can go through and he can leave with a bunch of money, and he's got his COVID vaccine.
I was thinking like video games.
He got his golden parachute.
No, dude. This is like the Great Canadian Casino guy that's being investigated right now by the hearings and the commissions.
Oh, he did. Tennille in the
we need a fact
comments
checker on the podcast.
She just said that he resigned, but he made 45.9 million profit on stock options over the last 13 months.
Yeah. So he's not going to be joining the the employment line anytime soon.
Oh, I got an idea. So we get this case land on our desk. We just got all the facts that we know. We get to pick the punishment for them. What do you think? How big of a slap on the wrist do you think these guys
unnecessary anal swabs?
I would say they have to get swabbed every day.
Every day.
Because you could probably test positive for COVID while you have it active in your system, right? So you get
every
anal
day,
swab.
every day anal swabs for COVID.
Yeah. I was thinking more like, should they get, because they're like going to court and stuff, so they could see jail time over this. Do you think they should see jail time, or just like pay a fine? Or
I think that's the shitty thing, is that we keep seeing these people violating COVID regulations, and they get slapped with the fine, which is normal, but it's always like fucking rich people, and it's always like, oh, like this restaurant opened and decided to keep operating, and they made like, $50,000 off of remaining open, and their fine was $2,500. And
or like the dude that had the party in his house and charged people cover and had enough money to pay the fucking fine,
to pay the fine and probably turn a profit,
turn a profit plus paid the fine. It's like the cost of doing business, as they say. I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
but they do say that.
Shadier than me.
Mysterious day.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate the backup on that one.
Yeah, so I think, like, I don't know that they're gonna, I'm sure people are like really eager to make an example out of them, especially like the news is starting to come out now that like, oh, maybe we were a little too optimistic about this vaccine rollout. Maybe it's looking like 2022 by the time life goes back to normal.
Man, seriously.
I'm fucking over it. Like, fuck all of this. And but so I'm sure they're eager to make an example of them, but I don't know if I'm gonna even say that like they don't deserve jail time.
Yeah, no, they don't deserve that. Like, it's still something that they're giving to people for reasons. Like, yeah, they jumped the line, but they were still in line to get it eventually.
Right.
And it's like,
the thing that they did that's the worst thing is the travel thing, really, right? Like, that's the worst thing. Like, don't travel. And the thing is, though, it's not a travel ban. It's a do not travel advisory, right? Like, a dude I know went to fucking Hawaii recently. Like, people just are going. People just are fucking traveling still. There's too many different distinct pandemic experiences for people. I left my fucking house, right? I mean, okay, so not entirely true. I do coach hockey. We can get into that later. But it's like,
is that still happening?
Physically distanced practices. It's a fucking grind.
He told me about this over text, and I said it was like a middle school slow dance where they have to stay this far apart.
6, 8, 5. They're supposed to stay 5 meters apart on the ice. Have you ever tried to keep like 8 to 12?
5 meters?
5 meters, yeah.
Like, so what we're doing. So I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the fucking morning and go to Canlin Ice Center, and I have my kids come out and we pass the puck back and forth, and we do skating drills without pucks around cones, and that's it. Like, there's no checking, there's no contact, there's no actual playing. So like, I'm not leaving my house. I go shopping to get groceries, and I fucking go to hockey, and I live in, and I sometimes go into my office, but mostly I'm in my house, right? So the biggest problem that we have here is that there's this travel advisory where people are not supposed to travel. The dude and his wife, they fucking flew. They literally took a plane and they went to a different province, a different territory, a different area of the country. And then there's this whole vaccination thing on top of it, where they basically budged in line. You know what this world has a ton of? People who budge in line and no one that fucking cares.
Yeah.
So jail time, it's a little harsh. They want to make an example of him. Fuck this guy. He's a rich asshole who can fly around, do whatever he wants. But like, jail time's maybe a little bit much for the punishment. If that's the case, how many people are going to start jailing for flying around or for butting in line?
I mean, hopefully. So I don't
like this guy. I don't encourage what he's doing, but he effectively butted in line. We've all been somewhere where someone is butted in line, and the worst consequence that they get is, "Hey, buddy, you fucking butted in line. Hey, fuck you." And then that's the end of it.
That's it,
right? Yeah.
No jail.
And he gets in there before we do, and he gets to see the opening band, and I have to wait outside.
Yeah. There you go. That's a great metaphor, Jeff. Anyway. So I'm gonna level with our listeners who maybe aren't. I've traveled to the States 4 times this year. My wife is American, and in order for us to like be able to see each other, I had to go there to get married to her, and then I've visited her a few times since. It's a fucking anxiety inducing experience. I would not recommend anyone do it. Like, it fucking sucks. And every time I go, like, I went the first time in March because I was like, well, I got to like beat this before the borders get shut down. And even in March, I was like, oh, these cases look bad. And then every time I've gone since then, I'm like, holy fuck, like I'm guaranteed getting COVID when I go down there. But I like wear my mask, don't fucking go anywhere near any people, like isolate when I'm down there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you've been on an airplane, has anyone like taken off their shoes and put their like bare foot in your seat while you're flying? I mean, like, you're gonna like fuck. That's worse
still
than
happening.
COVID. I would take COVID over like a naked foot coming through my chair while I'm sitting in the airplane.
And I'm really hoping that's been the nicest thing about traveling during this is that no one's on fucking planes. Like,
yeah, that's so.
No one's on planes leaving Canada. Once you get to America, it's a fucking like
everybody's everywhere.
Nobody cares down there. But up here at least it's a lot more chill. But now they have so I had another trip to go visit her and her family in March, and Trudeau announced this week that anyone coming back into Canada, it doesn't matter if you're Canadian or a foreign national, unless you have like an official exemption. If you come back into Canada, you are required to get a rapid test at the airport, which is fucking great. That is what I wanted all along.
That's awesome,
I was going to say, at least we finally got rapid tests out of this.
The less awesome part for me is that while you're awaiting your rapid test results, you have to go to a mandatory hotel quarantine. And
that sounds awesome.
It does
until you're at your expense, and it's at a selected government hotel, and it's fucking expensive.
Even the at my expense part, I was reading this story and I was like, okay, test, that's good. Okay, like 3-day quarantine while I wait for test results, get it at a hotel at my own expense, fine.
Pan Pacific luxury suite.
So the fucking price tag on this is $2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it up to $2,000?
It's up to $2,000.
Oh, is it up to $2,000?
Yeah, I thought they were like it could.
So if I pick the like Best Western package, it could be like $400.
So apparently you don't get to pick. You just get sent to the hotel that they choose that's within the region.
Like they spin a wheel.
Yeah.
This is all a conspiracy to just get hotels.
Wheel of hotel.
I mean, it does, like, they are going to be feeding hotels business, and the hotels probably need that lifeline right now. But I was just like, fuck, like, especially because like I live alone in an apartment. I don't fucking.
You could just quarantine there.
I
it's
could
safer than
quarantine
being
here,
in a hotel.
And like I wouldn't be interacting with other people who allegedly have COVID.
And then people have to clean up after you, right? Like after you've lived in that hotel for the mandatory quarantine period, then fucking workers have to go in there and clean up after you. Yeah. Whereas if you go home, you're responsible for your toilets.
For yourself, yeah. And I just leave them for 14 days, at which point the virus dies, and then still continue not cleaning my toilet after that.
How are you supposed to get to hotels? Do they like put you in like an airlock bus, like in a
they do movie? Like they're gonna have like it sounds a little like
it's just a Vancouver taxi.
Why they're doing it.
It's a yellow cab. Just get the fuck out.
Here you go.
Somebody barfed in there earlier. You're fine. It's
okay. They're gonna have like cops stationed at the airport and like guards that will load you onto a bus and escort you to the hotel. And at the hotel, you will remain under guard. Because I heard a couple stories earlier in the pandemic. They were like, you know, if you come back to Canada and you don't have a place that you can safely quarantine, we will put you up at a hotel and we will do it on the government dime. Like the government paid for it. They didn't charge the travelers. Yeah. And all these stories coming out of like all these people are having like these people who just got back from traveling and could potentially have COVID are having like social gatherings and parties and like fucking each other in these hotels. And they're like, some of them were like, well, I could just like walk out into the street and go to the club if I wanted to. Like no one gave a shit. Yeah. So it's going to be a little more strict than that.
Yeah, it only took them a year to actually enforce. Like it's all wishful thinking. They're like, we're going to do this, and you have to do this. It's like, do we really? Are you going to actually? Is this the first one you're going to enforce? Like, Geoff
that's
said,
the other thing. Every time I came back into the country, and the couple times Kate's come here, we've quarantined for 2 weeks at my house safely. But like, no one has come by to check if we were doing so. Like, I mean.
That you called them out on this very popular.
They're going to step it up now. Yeah,
they're going to hack my accounts and they're going to come over to Derek's place and make sure he's in there.
There's one on the way here right now to move in. He's my new roommate.
But you now have an FBI guy like that meme. Here's Jeff coming in with the hot take memes from like 9 months ago.
Very relevant.
Might as well be 10 years.
So relevant, yeah. Exactly.
So that's the situation. But I was surprised that like they were like, I get that we're Canadian and we're polite or whatever, but we were relying a little too heavily on the honor system, I think. And
I think polite is a vast difference from someone who makes good decisions. Right? It's like you can be the nicest, most polite motherfucker in the world, but you can also do dumb shit.
We'll tell the government to fuck itself, but we'll do so politely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is like the opposite of the GameStop thing, where we saw how good people could be as a group. A lot of this COVID travel, basically how shitty people will be if they could get away with it. They're like, I'm going to Hawaii. What are they going to do? Sue me?
The world is full of vast differences, my friends. Vast differences and experiences for everyone.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, awkward silence. Okay.
Awkward silence.
So do you want to...
I was just choking on water here. So.
I was just thinking about the vastness of various people's experiences. It's mind-boggling.
With like the shittiest segue ever. Let's just go super light since
what are we going into?
Talking about the pink KD.
Is this for girls?
No, I've still.
Derek.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
How dare you assume the gender of my Kraft dinner?
That was a very terrible joke. Pink's one of my favorite colors.
I have questions about this pink KD. So I've seen it. I've seen the article. I read it. I was like, pink KD. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. It's pink KD that's flavored like candy. So for those of you who don't know what KD is, Kraft dinner. I think, what do they call it in the US? They call it Kraft dinner.
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. Yeah. So up here, we colloquially refer to it as Kraft dinner or KD. Or
it's because we're so lower class that we consider it a meal, and down there,
98 cents.
Aside, it's mac and cheese. Up here, we're like, oh, it's Kraft dinner.
So
the thing about the pink stuff though is, can I still put hot dogs in this can?
No,
yeah, but they're camouflaged. You can't find them anymore.
Tell where they are. So, okay, here's my question about it. So when I first read it, I was like, okay, it's candy. It's like macaroni-shaped pink candy that's sweet. And then I started reading about it. I'm like, wait, is it fucking like you have to cook macaroni in a pot and then like mix the pink candy flavored powder?
Yeah, what I read, it said,
confused.
Hold the fuck up.
It's like regular
flavored.
It's candy flavored.
The thing I read, it's like regular KD, and you get an extra sachet with your dinner that you mix in. And I don't know if it's like you put the cheese then the candy, or if you just put candy.
No. It can't be cheese and candy. That's like that's not a combination anybody's ever wanting to put in a bowl together.
Even macaroni and candy is a bit of a stretch for me.
Okay. Wait. But now think about it though. Carbs and sweets go together just fine, right? So I'm like, I've been thinking way too much about this. This is like, so I'm thinking, I'm not even like a chef. I'm a fucking vegetarian. I don't even eat food that's like real for the most part. But it's just
I don't think there's any meat in candy, KD.
No, but like. But the point is like, I'm just thinking of this like from a flavor profile perspective. Like it's not really much different than if you have like a sugary or like a powdered sugar on a croissant, for example, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing. You have butter, you have carbs, you have sugar. It's not much different than like a regular confection. It's just trying to wrap your head around the fact that you've been eating Kraft dinner since you were a goddamn kid, and it's cheese powder and cooked macaroni.
It's savory. It's not savory. A sweet dish. It's It's flavored with fructose, natural flavors, and vanilla extract. The candy will.
Okay. So
I also have to add in. It still has the cheese in it if you want.
And it will. It does say you're supposed to add it to the cheese.
Mm-hmm. Seriously? Okay. That's different because then you're getting like a salty sweet thing going, and maybe it's delicious.
It could be like
this is good.
A cream cheese Danish. Like if it tastes like a cream cheese Danish, I am 100% in.
Or even like you can mix like cheddar and.
Sweet,
something sweet potentially.
Honey,
apples, honey,
cheddar and apples. Or this could be like sweet and sour, like you put sweet and sour sauce on your chow mein. That's like sweet pasta.
Initially, I was reviled. I saw this like, what the fuck? Like, why would anyone? And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't really eat Kraft dinner anyway. Like, it's like a, weirdly enough, here it's a treat. We have it like very once in a while, and it was like, "Hey, sweet Katie!" And really, it's my poor wife. Like, oh fuck, I don't have to cook anything actual for dinner.
That's why she's rejoicing. It's not because of the flavor. It's like a fucking easy night.
I'm not making everybody a salad, and she doesn't have to cook anything. So it's like fucking perfect. Like a pile of here's your evening pile of lettuce. So it's like we don't have to cook anything. It's like this easy dinner. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this isn't such a bad thing after all. And like, will I try it? Maybe. I mean, I've tried other gross shit. So
I'm with you. I haven't had KD in probably 4 years.
Long time.
And this has got me on the fence. Like, should I try this? Like, it'll be so bad for my gout, but worth it anyway.
So like, I'm over 40. I probably shouldn't be experimenting with fucking sweet Kraft dinner. That's really not.
Come on.
I should stick to my regimented diet plan plus all the other shit I'm eating from DoorDash. So
yeah,
there you go.
Spring rolls. Like, send.
Yeah, like
$48.
You mentioned like the flavor profile of it. Like I'm starting to think of like you could put like chicken in it really good because chicken can handle sweet and flavor a lot. Like like breaded sweet and sour chicken.
It reminds me of something that's going to end up on Chopped at some point. Like, like in the bag today is cod liver, pink KD, kombucha, and matzo ball soup. I'm like, oh fuck, okay, I got this, no problem. I've had this before. It's not a big deal.
I'm gonna do a pink KD deconstruction.
Right? Totally. Judges on your plates in front of you have a pink KD.
Tennille in the comments just said you can't buy it from the store. You have to win it.
It's a contest apparently.
Yeah. So
that all makes sense.
So finding out it takes effort, I'm immediately out. Yeah. Like fuck that. I don't care.
Yeah, and like if I had to like go to the store and pay $1.50 for a box of it, even then I'm like, do I want to try it that bad?
That's but 50 cents more than a regular box of KD.
Exactly. Having to like enter.
I could buy GameStop stocks with that. And just eat regular KD. Like
exactly.
You're right. If you have to win it, that takes the fun out of it. So what have we learned from this, gentlemen? This is all a big fucking marketing ploy because we're all talking about it. We're all like, we're talking about KD. Everyone's like, ooh, weird, pick KD. And everyone's talking about pick KD. And you only get it by winning it. Like, fuck you, Kraft. You're doing it again. You're making us want something we can't have.
You know what?
That is the essence of marketing.
For our listeners who would love to try pink KD at home, try this life hack. Make regular KD and put some fucking red food coloring in it. And like, boom, romance.
And sugar.
I was not... Say, pour a bottle of Pepto-Bismol right into that KD.
That too.
Good to go.
A twofer. That's what they call it.
Or licorice nips. Just mix those in there.
Yeah. Fire some cinnamon hearts on top of it.
Did they say what flavor it was? Oh, if it was cinnamon, that would
be... Derek said it was vanilla.
Vanilla.
Right? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean...
Vanilla.
You know?
Yuck.
Vanilla
and pink.
Again, I'm like, it's a fucking cinnamon bun at that point. Without I keep saying cinnamon. I guess I really want cinnamon right now.
Tennille had a great suggestion. She said, put a packet of strawberry Fun Dip in it. Shout out to Fun Dip, the single greatest candy of all time. What up?
Oh, lick 'em sticks. Yeah, lick 'em
The most awkwardly worded candy you can get. Lick 'em.
Yeah, it says lick-em-aid on the stick. Lick-em-aid.
Lick 'em. Yeah.
Love that.
Teaching all the kids about cocaine before they ever had a chance to get that.
For real, me and my cousins used to like, we would go to the fucking store and we would buy Fun Dip. We would buy
Big League Chew.
Runts. I was never a Big League Chew guy.
Oh no,
we got like Gobstoppers. It was all the Willy Wonka shit. And then when we'd go home, we would open all the boxes and we would put everything in a pile in the middle of the table, and then we would literally cosplay as drug dealers, like divvying it up and giving everyone their share. And then we would do their drugs. So
I thought you were going to say,
don't you touch that. Don't you touch
that. Mashed it all up and snorted it. That's what I thought. That's where I thought the story was going. So I'm kind of happy.
Although we also
bordered pestle.
Yo, were you there when we snorted Fun Dip in our teens?
Oh, no.
Would not recommend.
I feel like it burned.
Sounds like it would hurt.
Yep. That's exactly what it did.
I accidentally snorted a bunch of pepper one time and it almost died. It was awful.
Yeah, that would.
That's why they
So,
use that.
there's a whole situation with we were protesting. It's the thing. It was actually got shot in the nose with a bunch of pepper spray.
Jesus.
Do not recommend. Anarchy.
Yeah, and that's why you're only like a low-key anarchist.
Fuck that system over there, not this one.
If I ever leave this house, I will.
I will fuck the system. That
Right
other system, not this current system.
All right, Dale, we got anything else that you were horny to discuss?
We're over an hour. We've got a couple more things we could talk about if you want. Oh, I want to talk about Bond because I always talk about Bond. So I feel like if I don't talk about this Bond, people will be like, why didn't Dale talk about Bond? He always annoys us. But this one's hilarious. So the latest Bond movie, which was supposed to come out in 2019, and then got pushed back to 2020, and then because of COVID got pushed back to this year. They're pushing back again because they have to refilm some scenes every time they use a cell phone or technology, because now all of the product placement with technology is 2 years old. So every time he answers a phone, they have to like take out the old phone.
It's Daniel Craig on a Huawei. Fuck, we're gonna reshoot that.
What's wrong with Huawei's? That's what I rock.
Yeah.
Although they are old. Yeah. So.
Oh my god. Do you remember Wayne's World when they did that like blatant product?
Oh yeah.
Where like so I was thinking about this the other day. Newprint, yeah. Like what happened to Newprint? You can't get Newprint as a painkiller anymore. But I just remember little yellow, different Newprint. I'm like, fuck, you can't even buy Newprint anymore. I think Advil ran them out of town. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so that I didn't know the reason why they were reshooting everything, but that makes sense though. If the stuff's 2 years out of date, it's not going to make any sense. James Bond being an accurate period piece set of movies makes sense.
Yeah. So it was like Nokia phones, Omega watches, and then probably the cars in it.
Adidas footwear, Bollinger champagne, and Omega watches. And like, I don't know if the champagne's changed that much over the past 2 years.
I hope it hasn't.
It's gotten better in theory.
It's funny because they always
get that vintage bottle of 2017 champagne of Bollinger.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this 20-year-old bottle of champagne is 2 years old now. We can't drink that.
You can't drink that.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe we should go back and reshoot some of the earlier episodes of this podcast with better product placement.
Yeah, with better tech. Yeah, we could do that.
Any kind, yeah. So
even though the tech we get is all old and poopy anyway.
Sure.
So
super poopy.
Why do you like Bond so much? Is this a recent?
Well, it's a recent thing because in October, Crave, the streaming service, who doesn't sponsor us, but if they want to, I'm open to it. They put all the Bond movies.
Open like a COVID swab station.
Yeah. I had never watched any pre-Brosnan Bonds. I watched Moonraker with my brother once. So I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna watch, and it was like peak COVID. So I was like bored. I was like, I'm gonna watch nothing but Bond movies until I get through all. I think there's 25 of or 24 or 25 of them on there. And so I just started watching Bond, and I started at the beginning, and I was like, the first couple days I went hard and I watched 2 a day and I didn't watch anything else. And then I think after about like number 13, I got like tired of it, but I've watched them all now. It took me just over a month to get through all 25. So of course I always talk about what I'm watching, and I was watching that. So, and then it's funny because every time we have a guest, Bond always comes up. So I'm always like, oh, Bond, this and that.
It's you who brings it up.
I think it's you.
It's not, it doesn't come up.
I do care about Bond. I have no idea. And I'm the guest here. So why don't we talk about something your guest likes?
What do you like?
I'm actually watching that documentary about crack on Netflix right now.
Or Dosed?
No. It's called Crack. It's literally called Crack. And it's just, we watched half of it, but I'm old, so I can't stay up past like 10 o'clock now. So we watched it. We're like, my wife's like, I'm sleepy. I'm like, okay, we should go to bed. We'll finish this tomorrow. So after the podcast, I'm going to watch the remaining part of it.
Wait, is this like just one documentary?
Yeah, it's one documentary. It's like an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
I can fuck with that.
I watched New Jack City. You remember you watched the New Jack City with Wesley Snipes? Whoa, oh my god, it's like an old movie, like from the mid-90s.
I'm aware of what it is. I just haven't.
Oh, okay. It's about that whole crack epidemic in the 90s, and so like I'm like, this is right in my wheelhouse of like not crack specifically, but like the music and the culture and everything like leading, and the whole like epidemic of crack in the United States, and the whole Reagan like say no to drugs, Nancy Reagan's like say no to drugs thing when like they're the ones bringing it in, and that whole the Iran-Contra Scandal stuff. Like, this is my news wheelhouse. I like, fuck, I'm so old now. Like, nothing makes sense to me anymore. But the documentary on Netflix about crack in the 90s finally makes sense to me. Like,
nice.
This is why I can't get a master's degree, because I have no relevant information beyond 1998.
Derek, what are you watching right now?
A bunch of things. I'm watching an HBO show called Euphoria. It's like a teen drama. Oh, dude, it's like heartbreaking in a lot of ways. Like it's a teen drama, but it deals with a lot of really heavy shit. Like one of the girls is in rehab. There's a trans girl in it. There is like abortion and pregnancy and like abuse and assault and like all this shit. So watching that makes me very fucking scared to have a child right now more than anything. And it's like a super accurate portrayal of all those things. And I'm like, is this a shit that like kids have to listen to me sound like a fucking old man? But like, I'm like, is this what kids are like now? Like, are they dealing with these things?
Man, like, I wish I did. Hey, does your son go to school? Like, is he going to school right now?
He does. Yeah, he's been in school the whole time.
Yeah, same with mine too, right? And like when I ask him what he did at school today, he's like nothing. And he's kind of a homebody like me. None of us really leave the house. He goes to hockey practice, he goes to school, and then he comes home.
Yeah,
that's it. And he goes to hockey practice with me. He doesn't go out of the house. He doesn't see any friends. I'm like, this poor bugger is like living on his Nintendo Switch, and like we're trying to engage him whenever we can. But like he won't talk to me about what's going on. He's in grade 6 now, so he's starting to get to that point where he's like too cool to talk about things. So when I watch a show like that, I freak the fuck out because I'm like, am I connecting with my child properly?
Yeah.
Do I know what's going on in his life? Does he have these challenges? And then I like walk him to school and I see his friends and I'm like, oh, they're a bunch of diddleheads. There's nothing going on.
He's not in this shit.
Yeah, you're just about to start listening to Cats in the Cradle and cry.
Exactly. Like,
I got a couple of years.
I can see the kids are like, there's the bully, there's the nerd, there's the jock, there's these other guys. They're all talking about
all the archetypes. You know.
Yeah, all the archetypes are there. And I'm like, oh, okay, nothing's actually happening at this school. And I'm looking, I'm like, there's one kid who looks like she's way older than all the rest of the kids now. Like obviously it's one of the female students. She's like had a growth spurt and she's like easily taller than every other kid in the class. She looks like a young woman in his grade 6 class. I'm like, okay, so maybe that's the biggest thing going on. Right now. Why is she so much larger than all of us? I'm like, that's what I'm like.
I was gonna say maybe she's an undercover journalist, like never been kissed.
Oh my god, yeah.
Grade
oh
6.
My god.
She's there doing an expose.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, so like I think about that stuff all the time.
Don't watch the show.
Okay, I'm not going to.
Don't watch it.
Thank you. I appreciate the reverse recommendation.
Don't ever watch
not
it.
Going to.
Another one you might like that I've been watching in tandem with that is The Pharmacist. Maybe you've seen it. It's a documentary about a guy. He was a doctor. No.
Does it have any crack in it?
No, he was a pharmacist. Close. It's got he was a pharmacist in Louisiana. And his son was murdered in a drug deal. And in order to avenge his son's death, he started taking on like the opiate epidemic.
Nice.
He noticed like all these prescriptions were coming in. There was like this prescription mill, and cops wouldn't help him. DEA wouldn't help him. So he basically like tried to take this one doctor down himself. I do not know if he succeeded because I'm only 2 episodes in, but that's a good one too.
You watch Netflix like you read books. Like I know you a little bit, and I know you're a big reader.
Yeah, but I'll have a few going at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can watch one thing. Like I literally watched Crack, the first half of Crack last night. I've watched fucking nothing else all day. And I'm gonna watch that later. It's one thing because if I start reading something else or watching something else, I will forget about that previous one. So,
dude. If it wasn't for continue watching in Netflix, I would forget everything.
Totally.
I'm on like 6 different shows at once.
I cannot do that.
Right now I'm watching Salvation, which is a show on Netflix. It's like it started in 2017. It's like it's funny because it's like if you hear about it, you're like, this sounds dumb. It's like political drama with like interpersonal like boss and like underling are like hooking up and it's all secret. And you're like, this is boring. And then it's like there's like a tech genius and then this kid at MIT who's like trying to get like into research and you're like, this is boring. And then there's like an asteroid heading towards Earth and then they have to all like figure out how to get rid of this asteroid. So it like gets like into Dell's realm where there's like science fiction involved. So it's like a light science fiction drama. And it's a lot of like behind the scenes political stuff that I just kind of put up with for the tech.
Just to see those asteroid shots.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm also watching The Expanse, but I feel like I've talked about that.
You have, much like James Bond. It's something you bring up every episode.
The only other thing that we're watching regularly, and this is going to make me, again, this is right back to my like redneck / smart redneck roots. We're watching BattleBots.
Ooh, oh, nice.
So there's a new season of BattleBots on right now. And so the family, Sunday night, we watched 2 hours of BattleBots on TV.
Oh, nice.
And everyone loves it. My wife is into it. I'm like, you're too smart to watch this, babe. Like, you should go do something else. Like, let me and the boy watch this, and then we'll talk about it. It's basically wrestling premises with robots and nerds.
Like engineering, right? It's like engineering and wrestling. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, I'm going to come get you. We're going to come out fighting. We're going to come and drop the hammer on you. We're going to take you out, and you're going down. And like, this is fucking amazing. There's fucking pyro and shit's blowing up. And people are like, I'm gonna kick your butt next time, mister. You're in big trouble. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah.
Tennille said her family is BattleBots family as well. So
yes, sweet. So we're like, it's a family thing, right? Like my wife loves it. She like I didn't notice it. She's been kind of like casually watching with us. And then last Sunday there was this bout, and we watched it, and she was like, "Damn, that was a good fight." And I was like, I said that. Arlie and I were just watching it, and my wife's like, "Damn, that was a good fight." There was like sparks and things were flying apart. It was so cool. Yeah.
Is it still like just like the one usually got a flipper and a hammer? Like, are they still like this big kind of BattleBots?
They're 250 pounds. So what? 250 pounds is the maximum weight limit on them, unless if they're wheeled. They're enormous. Like it's out of control. Like it's giant. You remember the
and they used to be like little like remote control cars. Or basically
they now have 2 operators. So somebody operates the BattleBot, and then there's another person operating the weapons on the BattleBot. Some of them have flamethrowers.
Damn,
dude. Some of them have flamethrowers. Some of them have vertical saws. Some of them have horizontal spinners. Some of them are flippers. There's this one called Mammoth that is like 6.5 feet tall. It's like all this weird angle iron and has this giant flipper thing on it. And it's throwing things out of the ring. This one it's just like basically a spinning top with an antenna on it. And it hit one of the other bots and sent it up into the lights, and it broke the lights, and there's like glass shattering all over. It's fucking wild.
Yeah,
this is intense.
My penis can only get so erect. Like you got.
When you say it flew out of the arena,
it flew out of the box, like not into the crowd.
Anybody, or did it like?
It's a plexiglass box, so it can't hit anybody. But it hit like. After the matches are done, the floor is all scarred to shit, and the plexiglass windows are all cut up. Like you can see chops in it. Like these things spin at 500 miles an hour. What? And they like this one has a front spinner on it, and when it's driving around the box, it's so unstable that as it's driving, it's like the momentum of the spinner is making the wheel come up off the ground, and you can hear it. It's humming. It's like you can fucking hear the whizzing of the thing. I'm like, that is gonna break something, and then shit just explodes. Like
that's nuts.
The machines come apart. Like if it doesn't end in a like violent destruction of robotic parts, we're like, that was fucking boring. It's like we're so desensitized to these robots now. Like, it's a robot, not a human, so you're already like, desensitized. And now if it doesn't blow up, it was like a bullshit match. But good, they're pushing each other. What a fun thing to watch. Make shit blow up. That's what I'm here.
That's insane.
Dale, when you asked if it went into the crowd, were you asking like you wanted a robot jocks situation? Where giant robot falls into the crowd, kills people.
Oh my God. The day we enter robot jocks.
It's just you think if BattleBots has gotten that far in like what 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years.
15 years?
We're up to 250 pounds. 250 tons is right around the corner.
It can be up to 500 pounds if it has walking legs instead of wheels.
Dope.
It doesn't move as fast, but it's like fucking enormous. There's this one, I can't remember what it's called. It was something different before they re-engineered it. Now it has like 8 spider walking legs and a hammer. It's unreal, man. It's so much fun to watch.
Nice. Is this streaming or is this like on cable?
It's on cable. I still have a TV. Cable TV.
Yeah. You haven't unplugged yet, Geoff?
It's on Discovery Channel.
Cut the cord.
I have Netflix as my only. And Disney Plus, I guess.
Wait, doesn't Disney Plus have Discovery as well?
I have no idea.
Maybe it'll show up.
I know it's on Hulu in the States, so
Hulu. There's all this stuff on Hulu, and I have no idea.
Sorry, I kept talking. I know you're like,
well, no, this was great, but I've hit the point. So I went this entire episode without peeing, and now I'm like, we got to end because I'm just about to pee all over myself.
Oh, yeah.
For the second time.
Did we talk about the diet you're doing on the podcast, or were we talking about that before?
We were talking about that before.
Because you're trying to talk about it. What? Well, I just want people to know why you all of a sudden have to pee.
Pandemic life sucks ass, and I spend every other week just like totally alone in my apartment, and I don't see other people. I only have Noah every other week because Courtney and I share custody. So I found this fitness challenge that people have been posting about online. It's called 75 Hard. The whole premise of this thing is that
41 hard.
The whole
we're like 3.5 hard.
So the whole premise of this thing is it's just like hard. It's a free fitness challenge. You do it for 75 days. Every day you read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. You do a diet, any diet. It doesn't matter, but you don't do cheat meals. You don't take days off from it. You drink a gallon of water. You do 1 45-minute workout outside. You do 1 45-minute workout inside or outside. And I think that's it. But if you miss a single one of those steps, you start the whole challenge. You don't get to miss one. If you miss one, you start the challenge at day one again. So I found this thing and I'm like, oh, it would be really fucking nice to like A, have something to focus on right now, and B, like just feel like I've accomplished something at the end of the day. So I'm doing this dumbass challenge, and one of the things is drink a gallon of water. And as Jeff and I were talking about before we started recording, you do not stop peeing.
I can see you doing that, Derek.
I'm getting close.
Had a couple of Cleo placements, product placements.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tennille asked what diet I'm doing. So I'm doing intermittent fasting because it seems like the easiest one. So I eat everything within 8 hours, and it doesn't fucking matter what you eat. And then I eat between 11 and 7, and then outside of that, I just don't eat. So it gets rid of like late night snacking. And Dale, what are you?
And Joe Rogan does it.
Great. Love him. Big JR fan here. Joe Rogan. Anything Joe Rogan does is fine by Dale.
I was telling Dale like last week that recently, because I've just sort of run out of podcast material, because you guys don't do enough podcasts. I run out of, because you're the only one I listen to. I've been watching the Joe Rogan things in clips. And it's not I used to be pissed off, like, Joe Rogan sucks, it's bullshit. I can't listen. I tried to listen to like the full, like 2.5 hour episodes, and I can't do it. Yeah, it's fucking unpalatable. So, but I've been finding the clips of like specific things that I like. And it's not him, it's the guests that I find.
Yes.
Like,
it's the guests. Joe Rogan.
Some of them are like, fucking awful.
Joe Rogan's the really bread in the sandwich. He just
but that's the thing. If you just like I like Jeff's thing because you're like, oh, I like what this person has to say or what they're talking about. I'm gonna listen to them and not Joe Rogan. Yeah. And I'm sure as fuck not gonna listen to 2 hours of that fucking.
Oh my god! There's no way.
Nootropics or whatever the fuck it is.
Totally. Yeah. Tell me more about DMT. I don't know what it is. I don't care. I don't want to look at a poster all day.
Dude, when he talks about going to the DMT dimension, I'm like, yes, talk about this more.
I'm like, no thanks. But like, I'll listen to like the stuff about the Amazon, and I like the alien shit. I will eat the alien shit up all day because like there's no way we're alone. Where there's aliens that live with us. For sure. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea. Dude, I just find it fascinating, right?
Dude, if you like the Amazon shit, you gotta either listen to or read Graham Hancock's new book, Earth Before, is fucking amazing. It talks about like.
I don't want to be the one that wraps this up. We can talk about it offline. Derek looks like he's gonna die.
Yeah,
like
I am.
He's like, I'm gonna piss myself. I can taste this right now.
Well, I don't think that's because of me, Jeff.
You get one of those COVID swabs later?
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Outrage Factory. An extra special thanks to Geoff Gauthier for joining us. Jeff, if people want to, if they like the shit you had to say, can they find you online?
I don't say shit. I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Geoff Gauthier, I think.
What do you put up on there?
Mostly Harley Davidson repair videos.
Love it. Nice. If you like Harley Davidson repair videos,
I used to play some do some bass reviews on there. Back my older stuff is like bass guitar reviews. And then I changed my Instagram handle. I'm at GEOFF_GEE, Jeff G at on the Instagram.
Oh, cool. And you're not on Twitter anymore, right? You
nope,
left.
I haven't been. I've been Twitter free for a while, and I'm very happy now. And I have been Facebook free for 4 years now, and I think I've been Twitter free for like a good solid year at least. So,
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Everyone go check Jeff out on YouTube or Instagram.
Like motorcycles.
Yeah. Or bass.
Or old basement.
Bass reviews.
Yeah.
I have been your co-host, Derek Bolin. You cannot really, I guess you can find me on Instagram if you want to. I'm also no longer on Twitter.
Yeah, did you quit? You quit Twitter?
I kind of went out in a blaze of glory. I'll tell you the story.
No, I listened to the podcast, so I'm sort of up to speed on it. But yeah, don't you feel a little bit better?
I'm like,
best
holy
guest ever.
Shit, I should have done this like forever ago. Like it's just like
it just
but
we'll talk to you about it later.
Because you care so much about Twitter when you're on Twitter.
And then when you're not there, it doesn't care, and nobody misses you.
None of this shit matters.
Nobody gives a rat's ass that I'm not there. Like I remember taking a month off of Twitter one time, and literally nobody noticed. So I'm taking a year off. I'm sure no one's noticed because they're all talking about themselves. So
yeah, that's true.
That is Twitter in a nutshell. So yeah, my life is vastly improved since I left.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're trying to end the podcast, Dave.
That's fine. Dale, do the closing spiel.
I'm still on Twitter. You can find me at SuperDaleBot. If you want to look at the actual podcast Twitter, it's at Outrage Fact Pod. I post like once or twice a week. I'm trying to post more and follow more people. I post the video links for this and the audio links, and then I'll post a clip. I started a TikTok just to do like 1 minute clips. I try to do one from each episode, and
does dances. Yeah,
I don't do dance. That's just at Dale the Rooter because whatever. I made it.
Yeah, holy Christ! Do you have to list any more, man? Seriously, Dale.
Derek's gonna die.
What?
Come on.
Patreon? Did you say the Patreon? That's the important one. Give us money.
Fucking show.
Is it Patreon just Outrage Fact Pod?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, and if you want to send us feedback, just hit us up at Gmail, outragefactpod@gmail.com. That's it.
If you would like to buy my pee pants, please.
We do have swag that I put up on Redbubble. I just did it that way so you could go and get it up. So you don't have to go through us. You could just go buy it and then they send it to you.
And lastly, until next week,
stay angry.
Stay angry.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Did you see his face? He was going to die.